Okay, so hi, good evening, everyone. We're gonna get started. Welcome to our Community Board 4 and 311 Walks kickoff meeting. Hope everyone's having a happy and healthy summer. We're gonna start with brief introductions for our presenters who are here from New York City 311. Bill, when you're ready.
Yes, thank you, Kimberly. Good evening, everyone. Just to introduce myself, I'm Bill Rita. I'm the Communications Director at NYC 311. And I'm here with my colleague, Julaine Lowe, to talk about 311, how to use it efficiently for the work that you'll be doing on this initiative, and answer any of your questions. So thank you for inviting me.
Hi, I'm Julaine Lowe, and I'm the Portfolio Coordinator at 311, and I'm happy to join this meeting this evening.
Thanks for joining us. We're going to move along to our council members who are on the call. Feel free to unmute and introduce yourself.
I can start. Hi, buenas noches, good evening, CB4 fam. Jennifer Gutierrez, council member for one part of beautiful Bushwick. Really happy to be in this space with you all. I know we have an agenda, so I don't want to take up a ton of time, but I think we all know this. A lot of the work that we do in the district is one-to-one interfacing, right? And almost always I direct folks, if I can't directly help them, is to call 311. And by no means am I directing folks to call 311 because I don't want to deal with the problem. It's because it begins the path towards accountability. If it's an agency issue, there's a tracking number attached. And then just it makes my role easier because then we have this complaint. But also I'm the chair for the technology committee at the city council. And I've had a really good experience working with the folks at 311. I honestly learned a lot when I went to tour the call center and got to meet some of the folks. So I'm really grateful for this opportunity. But so much of how we utilize 311 doesn't just provide direct services into the community, but can also change the way we legislate, right? Can also change the way policies are getting passed. And so that's why I really appreciate this time here, because I want to know how we can utilize it, inspire more people to utilize it, and just be smarter about it. Because again, 311 is not meant to erase our problems, but as a tool. And I definitely support utilizing these tools. So thank you so much for the space. And I will pass it off to my illustrious colleague, Councilmember Sandy Nurse, or her team who is here on this call.
Hello, yeah, sorry, unfortunately, council member wasn't able to attend, but Michael and I are here on behalf of council member. Yeah, what council member Gutierrez was saying, we got to be smart about it, and it does lead to legislation. Council members bringing up the rat mitigation zones, so she's trying to pull 311 calls. So if we don't know that those like rat issues are happening, we can't really solve them. So yeah, we like 311, we also do the same thing. We start out with calling 311, following up with the agency, making sure that they're doing their job. And it's not like it can be anonymous as well. So yeah, we normally use it for housing and parks things, but I'll let Michael explain more because he deals more with the 311 cases.
Good afternoon, everybody. Can you all hear me okay? Excellent. All right. So it's funny to see all the thumbs sporadically. So my name is Michael. I work for the council member. The importance of 311 is, it's the quality control for a lot of these agencies, right? The violations that get called in from Department of Buildings or HPD, often come from the reports of 311, the complaints that we make. The city won't know that a tree branch fell, unless you call in and notify them, right? So we act as the quality control for a lot of these agencies. So I just want to stress the importance. We have made an effort to make I've definitely made an effort, and also telling the interns, the rest of the team, to do a daily 311 complaint at minimum, on your way to work, on the way back, just to make improvements around the neighborhood, whether it is, overgrown bushes, blocking a fire hydrant, or a sidewalk that's uneven, or ADA accessibility issue, right? These things have to get documented. It's the way that we communicate with the city. So I'm sure we're going to dive into it, but I'm excited to be here, and thank everybody for joining as well.
Thanks everyone for sharing. We're gonna move along onto the next item on the agenda. I'm gonna pass it on to the CB4 District Manager, Celeste, and Mr. Camacho, the CB4 Chairperson.
Awesome. Thanks, Kim. You're doing great. So why are we here today? We all know what 311 is. We all, I know, use 311. This leaders, to community stakeholders, people that are very familiar. And really to be here today and have this conversation is less about what we, the people here, will do, but how we work with others and kind of tap others that want to get more involved, that want to work with the community, and also want to address some of these issues, right? And it's also a fun way, like if you have your block, a team, anyone can do a 311 walk, because all it is taking some time whenever you have time to just walk on the block, observe what's going on, and jotting down, recording those issues, and then reporting them to 311. The only thing that's different is once you finish, observing, documenting, you're gonna send that information to the board, and we have a record of it that will inform our district needs process, that will inform our conversations with elected officials. And it's just a better way for us to understand what's happening and what certain blocks might need, where are our strengths, where are our weaknesses. And then of course, the ultimate goal is to have no quality of life issues. Once we have people paying attention, it's hopefully going to be easier. A lot of times there's just that one person on the block that's really stressed. They're like, everybody calls me, they don't call 311, and we want to try to change that, right? We want to mix it up a little bit. We want to say, hey, maybe there's someone that we haven't really thought of, whether, it's someone who's, new to the community, a youth, anyone, right? Anyone that's just kind of out there, maybe the person that hangs around the block, anyone that can really get involved. So that's the whole purpose. This is really the kickoff to better understand 311, the importance, and then the walks is what comes next. But we'll leave it there for now, and I'll give it back. Mr. Camacho, you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, just to let everyone know, yeah, we really emphasize that they do call 311, like that we can also hold the agency responsible, because a lot of times we normally hear that unfounded, nowhere to be found, or something on there. And when that gets done, it's like something that they say that they get upset that they do it and the stuff is still there. And I don't know how people are saying that is unfounded. And then they call the board office, and then we ask them for the number. And they say, I don't remember the number. I know I called this day. So we want to make sure that we're all on the same page. So when things like that do occur, we can hold the person or the people responsible and make sure that there is a check and balance in all of us in regards to 311, and in all of us too. I always tell everyone, call 311, get the number, give it to the board. We'll find out what's going on. And when we meet with these city agencies, we know what we've done, and we got a paper trail of checks and balance to make sure everybody's doing their job. That's basically the board's job, to make sure that city agencies are giving us the service we deserve. And then we'll go to our elected officials, and then they'll have to answer. And then from there, they'll get the funding if they need. Because if we all know what they need, maybe we can fight for some of the stuff that they need. We don't know how it is on the other side. So I think that let's give them, and I want to thank the councilwoman and both for bringing us, because we never had that I know of, and I've been on the board a while and never saw a 311 come and do a presentation or find out what is it that, and it's good because we all can learn. All of us can learn.
Thanks, Mr. Camacho. We did want to take a moment in the agenda just to discuss the importance of 311, but I think we pretty much touched upon that. I did want to just include that the New York City 311 data is used to inform policy and budget decisions, so it is important for our communities. And so if anyone had anything else to add, now would be the moment. If not,
Ellen.
okay.
I have something to add. There's a problem with 311 that needs to be addressed before we start doing a walk. I'm the person that everyone comes to. And one of the biggest problems that they complain to me about, and I have observed, is that initially 311 was supposed to be a number that we could call to complain about issues that were going on in the community, and you could do it anonymously. However, that has gone down the drain. The last 3 calls that I've made to 311, the first thing the person says to me after I tell them the problem is, what is your name and contact? Can we have your email address and your telephone number? For me, I don't care. I give it to them. But I know people on my block who will not do it, and they won't call 311 because of that particular issue.
Thank you, Annette. We've made a note and we have folks listening. So we'll make sure that we follow up on that.
We'd like to move forward with the agenda. We're gonna pass it on to our 311 reps. We're gonna take over for the presentation. You can share your screen when you're ready.
Sure, thank you. So before I jump in to the presentation and share my screen, I just want to thank everyone's words about how they tell the constituents to call 311 and log complaints and keep the service request number. That's very helpful, and that's the #1 thing to take away from this. The city doesn't, accept complaints for every single thing that happens in the city. Over time with legislation, bills could be introduced and passed, and then create a new stream of complaints based on how things change in New York City. But I'm going to show you some numbers, and you probably won't be surprised, but we do, a lot of people contact us. But I just want to address the previous members' comments about anonymous. So I'm very surprised that the experience you had and your colleagues had that say that we request name and name and email address. Not all complaints, in fact, most complaints don't require name and contact information. Many of them could be made anonymous, not all of them. And that is the requirement of the agency, not of 311. So what you have to understand is 311 advocates for the customer, and we want to make filing any type of complaint as easy and quickly as possible and reduce the amount of steps to file that complaint. Now, agencies have requirements and have processes in place that they need information for certain reasons, right? So I just wanted to make that comment at the top of my presentation. And Celeste, you could get more details and pass it on to me, and I can look further into that. Okay. All right. Thank you. So I will attempt to share my, having used Zoom, I normally use Teams. Let me just get to the share screen. Share this one. Share. Okay. Okay. Does everyone see the cover slide that says Brooklyn Community Board 311 walks? Yep, everyone shaking head. I only see 4 people. So, okay, great. Thank you. I got a few slides, and then we can have a conversation. I want this to be, casual, and want you to know that Julaine and I are your allies in this. But Councilmember Gutierrez saw this slide when she visited in April. But I just want to give you scope of what 311 does and some of the channels that are used and the volume that passes through those channels. So in 2021, the entire year, we did 40 million customer contacts. What is that, right? So as a lot of people were mentioning, you can call 311. That's the 19 million calls we received in 2021. And we have an online presence as well. And that receives about the same amount of visits, right? So right there is the bulk of how people contact 311. My presentation is going to focus on the mobile app, which has about 2.1 million users. Because of the nature of this initiative is to go out and you'll see, I know a lot of you are super users, but those who are not will see how many complaints can be filed via the mobile app. So I'm going to focus on that. But you can also text us, and you can also hit us up on Twitter. We have reps that will take a complaint information take a DM, have the exchange of required information that the agency needs based on the complaint, and then file it and give you a service request number. So we really, what we say at 311 is we want to meet the customers, how they want to interact with city government. And so that's why we try to make as much information and filing complaints accessible as can be. As Councilmember Gutierrez knows, in council hearing that we had a couple of weeks ago, that 311 is working on releasing a pilot of WhatsApp. So we're very excited about that, and we're going to work. And when we do have the pilot, I think your district could be a good incubator to see how that works. So some things to look forward to down the line. So as many as you know, that you call 311, there are basically 3 outcomes. We can provide information for you, or we can give you a referral. Referral is here's a telephone number to call to further or give you a transfer. And then of course we have service requests. In 2021, there were about 4 million service requests filed through the 311 system. So that's tremendous. Any questions about the volume before I move on? Nope. Okay. So preparing for this meeting, I took a look at some data. So I looked at your CB4 district. I looked at the top quality of life service requests, and some of these may look familiar. I heard some other service requests. They were represented, but I just took the top 10. And I did a cross-check of where these complaints can be filed. And as you see in the first column, all could be followed on the mobile app. And I have a couple slides of the mobile app just to show you the layout for those who have never seen it before. And of course, you could go to 311 online if you don't have your mobile app, or if you don't like the use of the mobile app, you can do what Celeste said, jot it down, and then when you're in front of a portal, computer, you can go to 311 online and file all the complaints. And of course, you can always call 311. So just going back, looking at some of the issues: noise, illegal parking, blocked driveway, rodents, abandoned vehicle, dirty condition, potholes, illegal dumping, fire hydrant running, encampment, and streetlight conditions.
Could we answer something now in regards to that? Are those noise complaints are indoor facilities, or now, because are the numbers the same from before, or are they higher in regards maybe because some of those outdoor dinings that are out there?
Yeah.
Is there a balance in regards to when it wasn't there compared to the noise now?
Yeah. So I understand the question. That's a good question. That's a level of detail that I did not prepare for. The next time I am invited, we could dial down on noise. But what this represents is a roll-up of all the type of noise complaints that are available. And as you said, some are available for indoors and some are available for outdoors. I could do a look at the data and send it to Celeste if you're interested in noise.
Yeah, because that's part of a quality of life issue. So
yeah, absolutely.
If it's a party, if they're having, I'm putting it out there, because if they're having it to become permanent, then that's part of their analysis that they should be doing if they want to make something permanent, because that's part of quality of life issue, and there should be a survey in regards to that. That's why I'm saying it.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. So here are just screenshots. There are too many complaints to have on one screenshot, so I broke it up to show you. So the first image on the left is basically the home screen, right? That gives you basic information. It's called Today, as you see in the blue. It gives you daily alternate side parking status, and it's one of the biggest reasons why people call 311. We get millions of calls a year on alternate side parking, especially when there's a holiday. and during snowstorms when there's suspensions. It gives school status and garbage status. Those are the three big drivers that people want, just basic information at the tip of their fingers. So that's updated every day. You see on the bottom of that, I circled the request. You click, you tap that, and then what you'll see is a menu of service requests that are available, broken down into, rolled up into topics. So the first is noise, no heat, hot water, rat and mouse condition, right? Parking, abandoned vehicle, blocked driveway, illegal parking, city vehicle or permits. There's a placard complaints and parking meter complaints. These are all very high volume complaints across the city. And that's why it takes this real estate. Those who do use the mobile app will realize that not all the complaints are available on the app this way. What we did is we took the ones that have the most volume and the ones most likely that you'll have a phone with you when you would want to report something like this. So the third screenshot, you see street and sidewalk conditions, pothole, dirty sidewalk, street sign, traffic light, street light, broken sidewalk that was mentioned earlier, and fire hydrant. Sanitation, illegal dumping, that's a big one we saw. And then I have to move this over. Let's see, hold on. And then taxi and car service, driver complaint, lost property. We had the TLC commissioner visit 311 today, and it was a nice visit, and showed him basically a similar presentation. He's new to the city. He's very impressed and looking forward to working with him to help improve. And he was very focused on improving the experience. So right in line with what everyone on the Zoom call is saying. Okay, also damaged trees was mentioned, park condition, and request a new tree. And then food safety. All right, so this is a lot, and this covers basically everything that's prominent in your community and across the city. I don't want to focus to say that this community board district has these issues. It's really across the city. The one thing I did want to point out, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you'll see a section called online shortcuts. Now, these are not built the same way that the other service request topics were. In the prior ones, if you click through it, you'll be presented a screen to put in information, and it's very streamlined. These are not built in natively into the mobile app, but these have been requests and high profile items that we wanted to put up front so a customer can see them quickly. And what happens is, because garbage condition was one of the top for the community board, you see to the red arrow, that's the topic. But if you click through that, you will land on what's on the right page, and the right page is what we call a knowledge article in the portal. So you'll have it on the mobile, but you'll be searching our portal, and you can file complaints that way as well. So if you scroll down in the portal, you'll see these hyper blue links. If you click through that, it opens up a service request, and then you can fill out the information in the service request. So manhole cover. I mean, there's a lot of service requests at the tip of your fingers and use. I mean, heard somebody say that they had some issues with the app. 311 is always welcome for feedback. If you can have it go through the community board, and Celeste knows how to reach me and Julaine. I always make an effort to do the research, to look into things and understand what's going on. And sometimes, we have super users that point stuff out that maybe one person, the average person will file one complaint, had a bad experience, and not say anything. But when somebody does say something and it gets to the right person, I know what to do within my organization to drill down on what that aspect is. Now, sometimes it's user error, and I can point that out and corrects the use of the system. or it's a real technical issue that has to be worked on, and that's, you know, that happens. And so, but the takeaway is that 311 is welcome for feedback, and we do really do our best to understand what the issue is and correct it. So I think most of you know what happens, but I just wanted to quickly go over kind of what happens when a service request is submitted, right? A service request does get immediately routed to an agency if you use the app online or the call center. There's no, if I use the mobile app, I feel it's, you know, the agency's not going to see it quick. No, they see everything in real time because it's using the same system. That's a misconception sometimes. And then when an agency receives it, an agency reviews and follows a flow process to take action, right? Every agency, you know, I just showed you about 25, 26 service requests. Those are handled by all different agencies, right? Sanitation, TLC, NYPD, DOT. I mean, they're all represented there. HPD, they're all represented there. They all have different processes and ways they handle stuff. So that it goes into the next one. Every service request may have a different time to close, what we call an SLA, service level agreement, right? So NYPD is the easiest and the most uniform. They are 28 hours. They have 8 hours to respond. They normally act on them quicker, but that's just an example. While, you know, a pothole, I should know this, you know, it might be 10 days or something like that. So it depends on what the agency sets, what the service level is based on their workflow and the type of work that they have to do. Agencies close service requests. 311 does not close service requests. Sometimes we get feedback that 311, you know, close it with insufficient information. That's really on the agency. And again, it seems like your community board is very well versed on reaching out and holding agencies accountability. And again, that's what this tool is for. 311 has no role in updating a service request at any point. All we do is intake. What we can do though is if you call or if you go to the portal and put in the service request number, we can give you a status update that's provided by the agency. That would be the most up-to-date information that the agency has available at that time. And then 311 can take an agency complaint if not satisfied with the outcome, right? So, you know, sometimes, you know, our rule is customer calls and the condition is not fixed in their satisfaction, we will take another complaint and then file it again. But if the customer says they don't want to do that, we'll offer them to file an agency complaint. So we're always open for that. I think that's it. Yes. So that's what I wanted to touch on. There's my contact and Julian's contact information. Just wanted to put it out there, and of course available for any questions that you may have.
I got a question.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, right out the gate. Go ahead.
You hear me? You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes.
Okay, I got a question.
Who's speaking? Wait a minute. Who's speaking?
My name is Eddie Claudio.
Okay, Eddie. Okay, Eddie. Yeah.
The second
Okay, yeah, I
box
can
on
hear
the
you.
left-hand corner.
Yeah, I see you. I see you.
Okay, I think Celeste, you might remember this one. A few years back, our street light across the street was out. And of course, I made the complaint to 311.
Yeah.
They passed the puck to the agency concerned. However, it took them like 8 months to get that light going. I mean, I think I might have made another complaint to 311 in regards to the lateness of these people getting this light back on again. I mean, after you make so many complaints to 311, what happens then? I mean, it goes to City Hall. What goes on?
Yeah, so agency complaints get routed to the agency, and the agency's correspondence unit reviews and should respond in their process of responding to correspondence. Again, every agency is different, but the ability is there, and those do get. So what I can say is when it is filed, my team is responsible for keeping the emails updated of where they get routed to, right? So I can say that they are being received by the agency, but the agency must, you know, act appropriately based on the complaint that was filed.
If they don't, who can we go to?
I mean, I think you go to community board.
Well, Ed, what we could do, what we can really do now, this is why I find it kind of shocking. You know, all the time people complain about 311. I kind of find it kind of shocking that 311 is saying, forgive me if it's that you apply these complaints to the agencies, and the agency does when it does what it does. So I think I know me now in the district manager, we'll make sure that there should be a check and balance in regards to the complaints, because the community shouldn't be waiting 9 to 10 months for a light, or 10 to 11 months. So there's got to be something wrong, I guess, with the agencies that are providing the service, because if it take that long to put a light on, or it take that long to get service, people are not going to call 311.
Well, there are some agencies, excuse me, I'm sorry, Mr. Camacho, there are some agencies that have specific time periods for, like you saying, like it varies by agency depending on the type of issue. But I wanted to pick up on what both of you were speaking about in reference to like the agency complaints. I'm curious what NYC 311 does with agency complaints. Is it just routed to the agency for them to address? Is it data that's presented to the city council? How does that?
No, that's a good question. It gets routed to the agency because it's an agency complaint, and 311 is not an oversight agency,
right?
You know, we're intake.
So it's useless. You give a complaint to a complaint, and then you're making a complaint from the agency. Was the agency supposed to take care of the complaint?
Not
yeah.
Macho, that's the reason that I said what I said, because most of the people that I talk to will not make a complaint because they feel that 311 can't do anything. All they do is refer to an agency. When I call 311 and they tell me 7 to 10 days for something to be taken care of. We have a street light, Eddie, just so you know, 3 weeks ago, there was an accident on the corner of Wilson and Warefield. It knocked the street light out, and I called 311. Nothing happened. No. I call our community board, and I was told, oh, well, it may be DOT and Con Ed. I'll follow up. It wasn't until Celeste followed up that Monday, I finally saw a DOT car over there by the light. But guess what? The light still isn't on. Yeah. You know, you want me as a community person to talk to my neighbors and try to get them to utilize 311, but we got to do something better to make them understand that 311 is there for them. You know, first of all, if you say we can call anonymously, then you need to retrain your people. So the first thing out of their mouth is not, what's your name and contact number? Yeah. Secondly, you need them to be forthcoming. If the complaint is going to an agency that has a time limit, they need to be honest about it. That's and true. Say, this is not 311's rule. This is that particular agency's rule. Please call us back if it hasn't been followed through. That's true. And you know, it looks like 311 has no power, because they used to say, this is Barbara Smith, they used to say that 311, if you call more than 5 times, it was a chronic call. It would come first up on the list. But I don't know what list that's on, because nobody gets any faster service if they call 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And once you call 311, the first thing they ask you, have you made a complaint before? If you say yes, then they're going to say, okay, it's being taken care of. I don't understand that.
And I remember this Camacho again. I remember back in the days when we had the city agencies in our community, and we could have called them there and then, and the problems were taken care of. Before the 311 even was in effect, they would call the board office. We sometimes had HPD in our office. We had city agencies that, and boom, the job was taken care of. Now they just
Yeah,
added another call before it. Now it's like calling
and
this guy to call this guy. Then okay, well, we're gonna make a complaint about the guy that didn't do his job, the agency that didn't do his job. But guess where the complaint going? To the same complaint person that's supposed to be taking care of the problem. It's taking care of the complaint. So it's redundant.
So
and
again, I think
311.
I'm sorry, Barbara. I just wanted to add something. And I have a question for 311 to see if we, like, if the information about complaints is available, right? Anyone that is familiar with NYC open data, you may know that there is the 311 service request data set. So I'm curious if the agency complaints are similarly available on open data because they are part of what's being reported to 311. Is that something?
Yeah. So the answer is no,
Okay.
unfortunately. So again, so there are two different things. One is a service request, right? The request for service by the city for the city to do something that gets tracked as a service request number. When you file an agency complaint, that's a piece of correspondence, as if you would write a letter, right, to the agency, airing your issues. That falls within the same department. Within every agency has a correspondence department, and it's their job. So you have to ask the agency what they do with that data, because that's an issue for them.
Right.
Yeah.
So what's often, I'm sorry, go ahead, Barbara. And I have a follow-up afterwards.
So because years ago when they created 311, they were trying to bump out the community board. They used to say, don't call community board, call 311. But thank goodness we do have community board for, because none of our complaints would get fixed if we just did it to 311. And
That's right.
that you have to go through 311, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times, then call your community board for to get anything done. So to me, I hate to say it, 311 is useless.
So, and again, this is why it's so important for us to be having this conversation, because we hear this very often. And the folks that are here right now are leaders. And if we have leaders that are echoing this information, it's going to make it a lot more complicated for everyone to understand. And so the purpose of today, outside of just trying to find creative ways to address more quality of life issues, is to add some context, right? Some agencies are very black and white. You could have a lot of different issues, but they're only able to do but so much. 311 only exists to process and formalize that complaint with the ticket number to the agency. Everything else, the context, the nuance, it's either up to the agency to address, which agencies are also black and white. But everyone that knows the community boards, we're all about the gray spaces. Even our elected officials, right? We all share a similar role in terms of processing these issues, right, within the districts, because it's a necessity. Often agencies aren't equipped for whatever reason, whether it's budget, capacity, policy, to do the things that need to be done. So we're not saying, how do we just kind of recreate the system? We don't have time to recreate wheels. We're too busy. We got too many things to do. There are a lot of issues. We're saying, how can we more effectively collaborate, right? Support each other, get information to one another. So once you do call 311, it's not like 311 is dropping the ball, because they're really not. They already did their job. They got it to the agency. You know who's dropping the ball? The agency. And they're hiding behind 311. I'm not trying to shade any agencies, but I'm just trying to point out the fact that it's really not 311. It's the agency that's ultimately responsible. And if they're failing to respond, we need to know so we can say, hey, you had someone waiting for a light for 8 months. That's unacceptable. You know what I mean? And then, but we have to know. We don't necessarily know. And this is a step towards knowing more in order to be able to inform what's happening with those agencies. That's what we're doing here today.
Celeste, this is Annette again.
Yes.
And what you're saying is true. However, we got to find a way, Bill, to straighten out 311, the problems that we're having with 311. Because like Celeste says, when you call up, 311 refers you to an agency. Well, we have a big problem here in this neighborhood right now with Hope Gardens, which was once a NYCHA property. When the neighbors in Hope Gardens called 311 to complain, they were immediately cut off and told, call NYCHA. NYCHA no longer has that property.
Right.
And
So,
it makes a big problem if the operator doesn't know
Yeah,
that-
I'm gonna, Annette, I can explain. So thank you. Yes. So there is a process in place. So when properties roll off NYCHA, then they have to get registered with HPD. And this takes time. And NYCHA 311 and HPD get on a call. They say they're gonna roll off the properties. They have to get registered. And then when they're registered, we do a data update. So they are available for HPD complaints to be filed to HPD. So we did 2 updates this year already. And this is an ongoing, so it could be that, you know, that window where they rolled off and when we had them updated, that is when the constituent called. But again, something like that, I want to hear about because when NYCHA does roll off, they should notify 311, but sometimes they don't. And we find out through the customer, and then I have to reach out to NYCHA, and then we have to, so there is a process in place. And we get it when we are aware, we get it updated as fast as we can. So if there are any experiences like that, please share with Celeste, and then she'll send it to me, and I'll look into it right away. And that's exactly what happened. A different council member had brought it to HPD that they couldn't file, and then you know, in a couple of days, coordinating between 3 agencies. And getting a data set updated in a humongous system in 48 hours, trust me, is nearly magic. So there is, so I just want you to know there is a process in place, and that we don't like any gaps in the reporting system, and we fill it as fast as we can once we're notified.
Celeste, I have something to say, Celeste.
Mr. Ceballos and Mr. Barnes.
Yes.
Vaya,
my name is Felix Ceballos. I'm the D3 leader for D353. I understand when people call 311, just they take the complaint and they have to send to any place that they have to resolve the situation. But the more people what I know, they may complain about the time they have to wait for get answer or get some result.
Yeah, that's understood, and that's what people are saying, and what Celeste articulated a little bit earlier. The requirement is on the agency to do the fulfillment, right? We do the intake, the agency does the fulfillment, and if the fulfillment is not you're not seeing the results that you expect. So expectation, let's talk about that for a second. So in our content and the way we train our representatives is to give an expectation of what's to happen based on what the agency has told 311 is expected to happen, right? So we work very closely with the agency to set the right expectation. But if that expectation is not met, you know, understandably, there are avenues which to escalate and, you know, file another service request. Look, if there's a chronic issue in the community and you filed 3 and your neighbor filed 3 and down the block and 3 and it gets to Celeste and they go to the agency and like that's what you need to get it escalated within an agency sometimes. So no, I understand the pain point.
You know, Mr. Robert Camacho has a meeting with all the top agencies in once a month or so. You know, police department, fire department. Is 311 included in that? Do they come and have a sit down?
So you said if 311 is included in the agencies that we meet with, like for the district service cabinet, Barbara?
Yeah, they need to come and give some, they can go by the zip code, they can tell where's district and sit down and say what's going on and try to explain what happened or whatever's going on, because you guys will know who did the complaint, because people are gonna say, the last, I called 311, here's the complaint number. So
Yeah.
followed up.
So no, understood. So 311 don't have the resources as bigger agencies. We are really just a call center. But the fact that the agencies are represented at those meetings, that's who you really need at the table, not really 311 intake. Now, is 311 invited because it's a special topic and there's there's a particular item that 311 could illuminate to the larger crowd? Yeah, that's an appropriate use of inviting 311. But if it's to say, 200 street light complaints were filed for this one particular area and nothing has happened, having 311 at the seat is not really going to help. It's really the agency that has to help.
Can I go back for a second? Mr. Bonds here. I'm from
Hey.
Cooper Street Community Association. And what happens is when everything happens around my neighborhood or my block, or even from my church, they call Mr. Bonds. They don't call 311. All right. So Mr. Bonds has to tell them what to do. So, and the problem is that one of the problems is that when you do call 311 and you said, Bill, that it's not an oversight agency.
Yeah.
Well, maybe something needs to be done as far as the structure of what 311 does and some kind of follow-up on that. But also, I think, and your people that answer the phone need to be a little trained a little differently to be more open to saying that even though we collect information for the agencies, and your call can be anonymous, they should explain that a little bit better. And then also they should also, and I think that 311 should be set up not only just to call the agency, but there should be a follow-up, some kind of follow-up as to what's going to happen. And if there is some kind of follow-up, or they should be, if 311's not going to be an oversight agency, then they should be in contact with the oversight agency that they're referring the complaints to make something happen. Okay, for one. Okay, and I know I find that, and personally, after you call 311, people seem like they're not getting the response they want. They're going to call the community board, as I do, and the community board for is usually one that solves the problem most easily. Believe me, that's how it seems like most of the time.
No, I understand. I understand the comment and the frustration. As I said earlier, in 2021, 4 million service requests were filed, and that's a tremendous amount. That's a tremendous amount, and it's just not possible to have that level of follow-up with an agency, a third party to have follow-up with an agency. The entity that is best suited is, as you said, is the community board. But I don't want to lose sight of, I don't want to lose sight of, 40 million people contacted 311 last year, right? And there were 40 million interactions that people received information, filed requests that did get served. And are there portion, section, that aren't resolved? Of course, right? But the escalation path really should be file the complaint, get that service request number, because then what's going to happen, and so let's tell me if this is what happens in your experience when you do reach out to an agency. You have a service request number. They need details, right? And if you don't, then you really put this community board in a weaker position to escalate. But if you did have, like, here's the 15, here's a spreadsheet of the 15 service requests that were filed in the last week on this particular item. Can you give your status? And agencies have teams that respond to this. My job and Julane's job is to get the correct information in our system, right, from the agencies, build a service request form based on the requirements of the agency, so they get the information they need, so they can do their work, and then be available 24/7 in as many ways as we can for people to have access to information and ways to file complaints.
Unless you have Lauren Miller there, then I want to speak
Yes.
on that.
Thanks so much. This is really illuminating. I kind of didn't realize how many things could go through 311. I was scrolling through the different kinds of issues that you can bring up, and I feel like I could use this tool a lot better than I was before. I guess a question I have is, for instance, I saw on that list of the top complaints in our
Yeah.
district
Yeah.
was encampments was one of the issues, and I'm curious if there's a way to like learn before you call what agency that would get routed to, right? Because for me, if I saw somebody was homeless and needed housing or needed health care, I would certainly call that in. If I knew that it was going to go straight to NYPD and they were going to get locked up and all their things are going to be thrown away, I probably wouldn't call, you know? So
Right.
I'm thinking about like, I want to be able to be a better participant
Yeah.
in this process in a
Sure.
way, but I don't want to become a police officer myself.
Sure. All right. So I'll explain the process. There are two types of complaints. They're not complaints, they're service requests, right? Encampment, that is, so 311 works with DHS and NYPD on encampments, right? Encampment's a little bit more complicated because you're talking about structural, you're talking about potential hazards, and DHS, Department of Homeless Services, has defined what an encampment is to NYPD, and we in the content you'll see it will speak to it. So the way encampments work, all encampments go to NYPD first for the reasons I said. For safety, they're not gonna interact with the individual. They're going to assess the situation and then give it to homeless services to coordinate an agency response. Sometimes DOT has to be, sanitation has to be involved. So DHS ultimately is the lead agency, but NYPD gets dispatched for particularly like safety reasons, right? To see what the issue is. So that's an encampment, and those are, and it's not somebody with a shopping cart. That's not an encampment, right? It's not somebody with sleeping on a piece of cardboard. That is not an encampment. Encampment is you know it when you see it. But the other one is homeless assistance, right? That goes directly to DHS. NYPD does not have to get involved in that, right? We did make an update. There was jurisdiction issues a few years ago where NYPD would handle everything in the subways, right? But that changed. Now you can file a homeless assistance complaint in the subway and it will go directly to DHS. So DHS is receiving the majority of all those type of service requests. So that is a, I don't want to say a recent change, changed in 2020, March of 2021 maybe. So that's been a little over a year.
Thanks for that, Bill. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Celeste, I think that we're reinventing the wheel in regards to calling one place, coming back, going to another one, get the city agency giving it to one, when there should be one person directing, like the way we had before, where we had it when they called the office, we had the city agencies there, HPD, whatever, and the problem was taken care of. We had direct communication. Now it's like we're reinventing the wheel and everybody's passing the buck. We're calling somewhere, someone's getting the complaint, you're directing it to the city agencies. Now they're not doing their due diligence. Now they call us. Now we got to get the complaint number and tell them to go do their job. It's been a while. Why aren't you not going? And sometimes they might not. So I just don't understand where is the checks and balance in regards 311 and the agency, because I think the agency keeps dropping the ball and we need them to get the services that we, under our city charter, it says that the community board operates with the agencies and gets service done that they're having issues and complaints. If we don't get the city agencies to do it, then we go to our borough president. And then from our borough president, we go to our city council. From our city council, we go directly to the mayor. That's how the charter works. Unless people change it, that's how the charter works. But that look like they're making us look terrible because they calling 311, they're giving us, and then they still getting the same service that's three, and then we fight tooth and nail to make sure that the city agency goes out. So I don't know how is it and what is it that we can, but we will now. I know now when we meet with in the service cabinet, me and Celeste have a nice chunk that we need, and also I need from you. Really, I need the breakdown in regards to noise, as to with those open sheds, indoor, outdoor, a strategy plan before, because I want to show where is it that yes, it's helping somewhere, but yes, it's hurting the quality of life on another place. I know we want to make money and people need to survive, but people also need to sleep and make sure that they go to work the next day, and our kids needs to make sure they go to school and they have a nice environment where they can sleep and go to sleep and go back and go to school. Not somewhere where they're gonna come, people come from the outside and do party here and make all the noise, and they leave to their designated area where it's nice and quiet and we can't go to sleep. So we really need to check and balance.
So I just want to comment. We have some of the data that you're asking for, not all of it. And what I mean by that is a noise complaint will not, we take noise complaints, of course, indoor and outdoor, sidewalk and in clubs and restaurants, but it will not identify if it's an outdoor restaurant or not. So I don't have the number for outdoor restaurant
But my point is, so if I call 311 and I say, well, there's an outdoor shed, nothing's going to come all from the outside in front of the plate.
Yeah.
You will write that down in the complaint, no?
That's so. Yes, we would write it down.
So what I'm trying to say,
yeah, but
now there is a lawsuit in regards to environmental study in regards to these outdoor dinings, and we use that as a plan. It is useless, because if you guys are not writing that is an outdoor shed or it's an indoor club, right? That's adjacent to it and it's outside and I live on top of these things and you don't write it, then the numbers aren't going to be.
No, we do write it when that's the case and the customer, and if you file it online yourself. What I'm saying is I don't have a way to filter out those noise complaints, because everything that is written by hand, text strings, are not, I can't filter by that. I can't, because that's every, I mean, there was 5,000 just for you. I mean, noise is one of the #1 complaints, you know, it could be 1 million. There's no way to filter at that granular level. The data is not set up that way, unfortunately. But what is set up,
my question is, how would you know to send PD if it's indoor place, or to send the environmental agency or the agency DOT that's now in charge of all those outdoor? How would you know where to send and who to send?
So that's a good question, and that I have an answer for that. That's a good question. So the 311 works with every agency, and we make sure there's no overlap, right? There can't be one type of complaint that can go to agency A or agency B. So one of the agencies have to have jurisdiction over it. NYPD has jurisdiction over noise, all right? The DOT has jurisdiction over other aspects of outdoor dining, such as structure, such as the quality of the shed. They're very maintenance oriented, the hardware. So those complaints go to DOT, and I have those complaints. I can give you complaints on outdoor dining. I have those, but what I don't have is complaints for outdoor dining and noise that go to NYPD. Did that make sense?
And yeah, also Mr. Camacho, to add to that, there are some, the noise complaints that they do track would probably the most comparable that I just saw from a really quick search would be on the street or sidewalk. So I imagine if the nearest address is a restaurant, then it would probably be their outdoor dining, especially, you know, if we could look easily on Google Maps, restaurant, make the connection. So there is a way to get that data. I also dropped a link in the chat to a tool we sometimes use called BoardStat. You can filter out and see the specific noise complaints for a community board by category. So if it's commercial, if it's construction, if it's a vehicle, like a million different types of noise complaints. So.
And you know what? Most people now, they go online straight to Department of Environmental and make their complaint, and they come out within 5 hours. with the noise meter. Oh yeah, a lot of people, due to the fact that I get some of the complaints because I'm the president of the 83rd Precinct Community Council, they go straight and do it online. And they bypass 311, they bypass the board, they go straight online and put the complaint in, and with 5 hours, they come out. And with the
Say that again. I think I heard what you said, but I don't know how that could happen.
well, I
So
know
what
it
do you
happened.
mean they go online?
They instead of putting the complaint through 311, they go
Yeah.
straight to the department.
Oh, the agency.
Oh, the agency.
The agency, yeah. And they put in their complaint.
Yeah, so agencies should not have, well, agencies don't have, they have correspondence online. You can, again, that's the correspondence stream. You don't get a service request number with that. Every agency has what we call an agency head form, where you can put in a piece, it's correspondence. It's a correspondence routing. And you can put in there. Now, if it gets fixed doing that, that's great. But that's different than filing a service request, because agencies don't have service requests on their website. DPR does, Parks Department does, but those route through the 311 system. Ultimately, it's going through the 311 system.
Yeah, and I see Michael, just one quick comment before Michael, just wanted to say that in regards to the way that some of these complaints are processed, it varies, right? And I would be one to say, I would love to see what's not being addressed, because sometimes, I have no concept of whether, unless someone tells me, I called 311, 4 months ago, and then what I'm going to say is, well, did you let me know? And not that you should have to let me know, but you only let me know when it's not resolved. So, if it's, they say in 2 weeks, someone should come out and take care of this issue and no one shows up, that's the only time you have to call the community board. And this event series is really just to improve the communication and the context. There's so many questions, right? And I remember, to speak to what Mr. Camacho said earlier about how it used to just be one place. It used to be one place. And remember, back then, the community boards were serving a much smaller community. Think about how the city has changed since then. We do not have the software or the technology to accommodate that level of, we don't even have a citizen relationship management software tool. We use a very fancy Excel sheet. So, having something like 311 alleviates a burden on our office, so we don't have to process your complaint and try to address the complaint at the same time. And ultimately, like, the city agency is responsible, but what we do is we fill in the blank. So rather than you waiting 30 days, not knowing what's going on, because the agency may not have the capacity to respond to every complaint that they're getting about miscollection, we will do that on your behalf whenever there's a problem, and then contextualize it, right? We'll fill in the blank, and create more of a relationship, as opposed to just throwing something out there in the ether and it's just kind of floating around. Maybe it'll get fixed, maybe not. But there was multiple goals here, but happy to continue the conversation and break it down. Michael?
Yeah, and I don't want to echo everything that was already said, but and that's legitimate. But one of the things that I want to praise 301 for doing that, I think that a lot of the other agencies failed to do, is how quickly you guys actually answer the phone, right? Like, I spent hours in a week just trying to get through to HRA or NYCHA, right? And God forbid I have somebody who speaks in a language other than English, right? Whereas 301 does an exceptional job of answering, within 30 seconds, even if I have to speak to the robot, for the first part of it, and if I need somebody to interpret, you guys actually effectively do that. So, I had to give props when props is due. And I wish that, given that the city has been able to achieve that in one sector, if only, the weeks training that you do to for the operators who I have to also acknowledge have excellent customer service skills, right? I've never gotten in a heated conversation with somebody from 301, but I have with other agencies, right? So I just wanted to give props where props is due. And then obviously there are things that are legitimate, but I'll leave it at that.
Okay, let's end on that note. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night. No, joking.
Yeah. Kim, the agenda.
So we definitely want to thank Bill and Julaine for presenting and taking the time to listen to us. I know it's always a frustration when it comes to these kind of matters, but we're all working together, and that's like the key thing. We want to improve the quality of life in Bushwick, and I think this is a good first step in that direction. So thank you, Bill and Julaine.
Yeah, so thank you for having us. And again, we, if there are issues reporting with the app, please let us know. Let us know issues. I can't, but if you want to put pressure on an agency, it's coming to through, like sending an email to me is not going to help. It's better that you give the service request information to the community board so they have what they need, and they can track it, and that's very valuable information. So I hope you keep using 311 and if things get better over time. And I know of course, the last 2 years have been very difficult for everyone. Staffing wise, just across the United States, the world, and supply chain issues. So hopefully things do fall back, get back into a groove, and things, get updated and faster and more satisfactorily as time goes by. Okay. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Celeste, we'll stay in touch. Thank you so much.
Sounds good. And before everyone else goes, we have some next steps. Don't leave just yet.
Don't leave, please. Okay, so the last item on the agenda, we just wanted to emphasize what the community boards do. I think we pretty much touched upon that. We do provide the constituent services and address these complaints and concerns. So we do connect with 311, and we want to keep that a healthy relationship as much as we can. In terms of the next steps, emphasizing community participation, meaning anyone and everyone can get involved, initiate a walk for your block. You can connect with neighbors, coordinate a date and time to observe and report these service requests. So I'll be dropping on the chat PDF for our form that we created. It's a 311 Community Walks block report form, and we will also be posting it on our website, so that you can submit to our community board. I'm going to go ahead and drop it on the chat, Celeste.
And this is all new. So I want to emphasize, this is the first time we're doing something like this. We hear the frustration, and often we talk a lot about our frustration, but we don't really, I'm always saying, what can we do about it as well? So we're trying, something different to see if we can do, something to address these concerns. And again, everyone that's here today, we know that you're the go-to people on the block. Right now, the homework assignment for today isn't to go do the 311 walk unless you feel compelled to do it. I would love it. But it's really to let me know, like Kim know, Mr. Camacho know, who's someone in mind, who's another leader, someone you think might be a good fit to do this. If your team is ready, you're like, I saw Lauren dropped it in the chat, they want to do potentially a video series. That's wonderful. That's like what we're looking for. It's a way to get other people involved, alleviate some of the pressure that we may feel, right, as community leaders, as folks that are always doing this kind of work. But that's where we're at right now. And we're going to continue the effort. We're going to get it out there, share some more information, and then maybe the next meeting we have, when we, further down the line, maybe we'll do it like once a year, where we just check in, see, how did we do? How, have things improved? Have we seen any differences with the agencies? But we kind of have to start tracking it, first, we have to see how it goes. So.
And also we'll be out there. We're gonna do spots. We're gonna, in the summertime, we're gonna go block by block, corner by corner until the whole summer. Me, Celeste, Kimberly will go. We're gonna build and give us your complaints, your issues. We'll write them down. We'll call 311. We'll make a complaint. We'll make sure, and then we'll follow up and see the status in regards how it's working, what's it doing. We need to follow up, and then we can give a survey to our elected officials to say, guess what? This is what we done. This is what we got. This is what they need. This is the service that's going on. Where's the money? Where's the thing? Let's get it going. That's the only way that we can do in regards to the quality of life, outdoor dining, noise in your house, or garbage being dumped constantly, illegal dumping, who the persons are, where they are. People know who doing what they're doing. They don't have to tell, but they know, because I know and I see. So we can say, we know who it is. We'll knock on the door and say, yo, guy, listen, there's a camera. We know you dropping stuff off. Cut it out. Let's not do it because we don't want you to get a summons. So we can work that way and make sure that we can be better. Those are things that we're planning. I guess Celeste is putting something up there for me to be quiet, but yes.
Mr. Camacho. So this is our form, just to give you guys a preview. It's basically a quick little form that you can fill out when anyone and everyone decides to do a walk on their own. Just an issue observed, the detailed location, date and time, and of course, submitting a service request number is super helpful for the community boards. So we have that information.
And we'll send follow-up emails as well. I'm sorry, what, Barbara?
I told Kimberly, I said, Kimberly, you did a wonderful job.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much, Ms. Smith. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're a good narrator. Now we know we're gonna put you on the spot now.
I welcome it. Challenge me, Mr. Camacho.
I guess the theme is we got to stop talking about it and be about it.
That's it. That's it.
Good job, good job, good job.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. If there's nothing else, we're all good?
Yep.
Well, good.
Bye.
Good job.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you for joining. Have a great night.
Have a good one.
Thank you,
Good night.
everyone.
Good night,
Okay,
everyone.
good night. Talk
Good
to you
night.
later, Camacho.
Yeah,
Be safe out there, everyone.
Thank you, Celeste. Thank you, Camacho.
Thank you.